So I still feel a bit clunky trying to go to those faster paces, even though the foam is ready to go at those paces, but just... So I've finally clicked over to 100 kilometers in this shoe. So testing is now complete and the scores are in, and this is the full review of the ASICS Megablast. But before we get into it, a big shout out to my #1 running store, the running company at Geelong. I've got a link to their website in the description. Make sure you go check out that and check out all their running gear. And also guys, if you haven't done so already and you want to support this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And in the specs, so this one is a neutral road running shoe, certainly in that max cushion category and certainly in the super trainer category as well. You're going to be able to pick it up in Australia for a pretty expensive $340 or $225 in the US. Now in the weight, really lightweight package here, especially for a shoe such a big stack. So 215 grams or 7.6 ounces. Now that's in my size. This is a US 8.5. And in the stack, we've got 46 in the rear, 38 in the front, and that's going to give us a 8mm drop. And for the scores at $340, that's pretty nasty for a training shoe. However, considering this shoe's performance and how long the shoe's going to last and probably how much use you're actually going to get out of the shoe, in comparison to the other overpriced training shoes that are over that $300 mark, this one probably represents the best value in all of those. I still think it's too expensive, 6.5 out of 10. And in the weight, so for a training shoe, I think the weight here is absolutely amazing, especially considering this huge stack of foam, 9.5 out of 10. And in the upper, so the material that they're using here is a really fine engineered mesh. Now the mesh itself, it's not the most flexible, it is quite thin, but breathability is okay. Solid heel counter at the back, a little pull tab here on the rear, haven't really had to use that. Surprisingly, a plush amount of padding around the heel collar, so absolutely love such a stripped back upper, but they haven't skimped out here in the comfort department. Now with our tongue, it's really thin, a couple of little pads on the top. It's cut nicely at the top as well, can sit nice and flat on top of the foot. It is a gusseted tongue, no issues with it moving. With our lacing system, just reinforced eyelets down either side, nothing fancy here. They are using those notch shoelaces that they use in their race shoes as well, so I absolutely love that. In the lockdown department, no issues, so pretty good through the midfoot, no heel slippage at the back. In the fit, I'm going to say it's a tiny bit long, but I would definitely still recommend to order true to size in this one. The real issue is probably in the width or the shape of the toe box and also the volume of the toe box. So I have had some irritation with the little toe, and I know a lot of runners out there have had the same issue just out here. So I do think they just need to adjust that just ever so slightly, give us a little bit more volume in the toe box, or just change that shape and make it a little bit wider just to cut that irritation out for a lot of us. Build quality, not too bad here from ASICS, it's usually always excellent. Stepping comfort, no issues there as well. Now for the scores, I'm going to say it's pretty good. So the materials don't feel the most expensive, like they don't feel really high quality that you would normally expect out of an ASICS shoe, but I don't really have any complaints. The only real issue here is that fit and around that pinky toe area, 8 out of 10. And in the outsole, it's good to see that they are using their ASICS grip here, and the best thing about the ASICS grip on the bottom of this shoe is just how little of it that they use, because you don't really need to use much of it. It's just in the right places to protect this super foam. So a little bit here in the high wear areas at the back and also through the forefoot there, and they've also got covering the little trampoline pod in the middle there. Now, performance-wise, ASICS grip, it is excellent in all conditions, one of the best on the market. Durability-wise as well, it's performing really well, so minimal signs of wear. So again, I've got about 100 kilometers in this shoe, a little bit over, mainly all on hard surfaces as well. But yeah, there is really minimal wear on the bottom of this shoe, but I'm going to say overall in general, this shoe it's got some excellent durability about it. I think it's going to last a long, long time. So overall, lots to like about the outsole, no real complaints. I really just love how sparse they've put this ASICS grip on the shoe. Very effective, 9 out of 10. And in the midsole, really simple design here. One big slab of this brand new FF Turbo Squared. So it's got to be one of the most hyped midsole foams on the market, that ATPU foam that everyone is hyped up about. So no plate or anything in this. Rigidity wise though, it's quite a stiff shoe. So the shoe will bend, but you can tell that it doesn't really want to bend. This foam doesn't like to just a squish and bend. It's not too malleable, I'll say that. Now in the geometry department, we have got a bit of a 4-foot rocker here, so for me it really reminds me of the geometry that they do use in the Super Blast 2, if you are familiar with that shoe. So yeah, a little bit of curvature here towards the front, certainly engineered probably towards the later stage as you're going through transition, and a little bit of a heel bevel here as well. And in the ride, well, if you watch my first impressions review, I did enjoy the ride. However, I was really surprised with how firm the FF Turbo felt for me in my lightweight. So I was expecting something a lot softer and pretty much a lot more squish just to get that bounce that everyone has been talking about. Now, has my opinion changed on the shoe so far? Well, yes, it has slightly changed. I still think the foam is just a little bit too firm for me. I do appreciate what's going on in it, and I can appreciate most of the majority of runners out there absolutely loving this shoe. But just for me, in my lightweight, my quick cadence, I don't tend to sink into this foam a lot. Over time, so I think it took about 60 kilometers, and this foam actually started to soften up just a little bit, and I could actually start sinking into the foam, and I started to get a little bit more out of the shoe. So overall though, this FF Turbo Squared, I think it feels like, for me, that it's like a basketball that's had too much air in it. So the PSI is up too high. So if you've ever bounced an overinflated basketball, you can tell it is bouncy as hell. So it'll just bounce, but it's just a little bit too hard to be useful to play with because it's still a little bit harsh. That's sort of what I still feel like here with the Megablast. So still, yes, it's soft. Yes, it's bouncy and responsive, but it's just got a little bit too much PSI in it for me. I wish they'd just have a little valve on the side here and I could just let a little bit out. But in terms of softness, I don't find this shoe soft at all. And I was surprising it. There was a list going around it that I've seen online that this shoe was described as softer than the Puma Magnify 3. And I think I fell off my chair reading that, because the Magnify 3 was probably the softest, one of the softest shoes I've ever run in, so much squish. And this thing for me is, on a softness scale, out of all the shoes out there, I think I give it about a 5 out of 10. So definitely don't find it soft. But yes, there is some bounce to it, but you need to put some force into it. And it's like a really punchy, poppy bounce. So as I said, I don't sink into it a lot. Very responsive. It is a very exciting foam, and the more force I put into the shoe, the more pace, the more that I get out of the shoe. Saying that though, I don't think this shoe's geometry, for me anyway, it doesn't really encourage me to run fast, or it feels a bit clunky when I pick up the pace in the shoe. So especially if I'm, going like a marathon effort or even faster, because it feels like it's still got that daily trainer geometry. It doesn't feel like it's engineered as to a workout shoe. So I still feel a bit clunky trying to go to those faster paces, even though the foam is ready to go at those paces. But just the way that I run, the geometry just doesn't quite work. So I've been mainly using it at steady pace, and that's where it feels pretty good for me. And stability wise, I've had absolutely no issues whatsoever. I think it's quite a safe shoe. Now for the scores, I've had this shoe for quite a while, and it's taken me a while just to get to the 100 kilometers so I could punch out a full review for you guys. So it just hasn't been a shoe that I've wanted to reach for, to be quite honest. So I thought there's been other shoes that I've been testing that I've actually enjoyed more. Saying that, I do appreciate what's going on in the ride here, and I know if I was a little bit heavier, and I knew if I run or if I hit the ground slightly different in this shoe, I'd get a totally different experience. So I appreciate how good this shoe is for everybody else, but it's just not that good for me. I still enjoy it, but it's certainly not as good for me as what it is for everyone else out there. 8.5 out of 10. And best shoe. So for me, I think this shoe absolutely shines at that steady pace and probably just a little bit faster. Yes, you can run easy in it, but for me, the foam's just got too much life in it, too much pop, too much punch. It's too responsive to really enjoy going slow in the shoe. The foam has got a lot of capability to go super fast. So if you want to pick it up, the foam is really going to accommodate to whatever pace that you want to run in the shoe. It's just going to come down to if this geometry works for the way that you run to get any propulsion out of the shoe. As I said, for me, the geometry feels like a daily trainer to me, and it feels a bit clunky when I want to go any faster than, say, like that tempo pace. Not saying that you can't race in this shoe or do your threshold efforts in it. A lot of people will enjoy that, just not for me. Now for the long run, I have taken this shoe out for a couple of big long runs. Feels amazing for me up to about that 2-hour mark. After that, it starts to get a little bit stingy in the forefoot, so I really start to notice the firmness of this FF Turbo Squared, and it gets a little bit much, but I'm still going to give it the tick for the long run as well. And some other options out there if you are considering this shoe. So it really will come down to how you want to use this shoe, but for me, I'm thinking of a bit of a max stack versatile shoe that you can do a lot of stuff in. So the first one that's coming to mind here is pretty much the little brother or the big brother of this shoe, the Super Blast 2. So that one, it's just like the toned down version of this. It's not so racy, it's just got a bit more of a comfortable upper. Not so springy in the ride, but still can pretty much handle most of the runs that this shoe can deliver. The next one I'll mention is the Adidas Evo SL. That's everyone's favorite daily trainer. A lot cheaper than this shoe, but it's just got that wide variety of pace ranges that it can handle. Good daily trainer. It can certainly handle the pace when you pick it up, and it's also got that firmer type ride as well. And the other one that I'm going to mention is the shoe that I've just reviewed that I'm just keep banging on about, and that is the Kiprun KD 900 X2. So that shoe is a whole lot cheaper than this shoe, but that shoe is just so versatile. It's got the ATPU midsole foam. It's got a really flexible carbon plate, so it's actually more flexible than this shoe. For me, that shoe feels smoother, and it feels more responsive, and it feels faster, and it is pretty much half the price of this shoe. So just checking out the scores there, and as you can see, pretty solid scores all around except for value. Now, yes, $340 for me is just too expensive for a training shoe, but as I said before, of all those overpriced super trainers, this one probably represents the best value, but it's still, I just love it to come down for about $40, and then it would represent excellent value here. But for me, as I said, it did take me a long time to get to the 100-kilometer mark. It just hasn't been a shoe that I've been gravitating to. It's just a bit too firm for me to get the real enjoyment out of it. And I wish they would just tweak this geometry, just bring that rocker back a little bit, and I think I could be able to use it at a lot more paces and not feel so clunky. But just because it's not the GOAT shoe for me, I can fully understand why it would be for someone with a little bit more weight than me that can actually dig into this foam. But overall, it's a really nice shoe, a little bit too overpriced. Certainly if you want to splash the cash, it's a buy from me. If you don't want to splash the cash, there are plenty of other options out there. You just hit me up and I'll be able to tell you about shoes that deliver performance like this or even better for a fraction of the price. But anyway guys, that's it from me. Any questions you've got regarding this shoe, how it relates to anything else, hit me up in the comments. Don't forget to watch the leaderboard, and we'll see you next time.